All right, what do we say we get started, guys? It doesn't look like we have anyone
Sounds
joining
good.
us. So,
No.
Chelsea, you were here yesterday. I'm trying to think, Josh and Nastasha. What we did yesterday was, because people are busy, right? They're not coming, but we are finding they're watching the recordings. So we do want to proceed with it as if we're running a normal session. So please just chime in and join like you would as if people were sitting here asking questions. It would be great just to share your tips and tricks as we go along. That way then they can watch it later on because they're all being posted on the blog, the program blog. So,
Yep.
Okay. All right. Steph, are you sharing or am I?
Oh, I can. Sure.
Oh, it does matter.
Sorry. All right. Oops. Wrong one. All right, sorry about that. So today is Thursday. It's our third full day of remote learning, and we are here to support the curriculum partners who are teaching remotely for this week. Today we have Nastasha and Chelsea and Josh Jakes with us from the virtual school to help answer our questions and share some tips and tricks and tools for us. So we'll start with the land acknowledgement. We acknowledge that the land on which we are connecting through is part of the traditional territory of the Chippewa, Odawa, Potawatomi, and Delaware nations. By personally making a land acknowledgement, you are taking part in an act of reconciliation, honoring the land and Indigenous heritage. And we have Pam Gallant to share for that to thank for that beautiful photo, right? Was that one of Pam's?
I'm not sure who actually put that one in. It is
So
very
we thought we'd
pretty
start,
though.
we talked a little, oh, right? I think Pam Gallant from her Instagram. She has the most beautiful outdoor photos all the time. They're just gorgeous.
Yeah.
So we talked a little bit yesterday about some of the advantages and some of the challenges that the remote piece brings to our classrooms. So I was wondering if anyone wanted to share anything that's nice about having the children at home that you can bring into the classroom.
Specifically thinking around things that you can't maybe do in a normal classroom situation.
I'll try to put my video on. It's a little, my internet's really laggy today, so I apologize. But I teach a lot of younger kids, so it's really neat to you can personalize their learning to them, so you can use items from around their house, and like even if they want to talk about their favorite stuffy or toy, they can bring that in, and it helps with some of the French connection because you can personalize the learning a little bit more to them. If you use things, and you can talk about their environment, and bring that in more than you can in the school setting, and also you get to know them a little bit more on a personal level. So I found that really helps to interact with them.
Last little bit cut out there, Josh. So I think I'm keep getting a message up too about my internet problems. So we will just improvise as we go. But yes, those are great ideas. Ways to make those connections.
Can I add to that, Angela?
Absolutely. Please go.
Okay. I'm going to keep my video off just because I know I was lagging a bit earlier, so maybe that will help. I'm not sure. Same with Josh, like the personal of it, and they're comfortable being at home. And so I found that's a positive and kind of a challenge at the same time. Sometimes they get a little too comfortable. I teach 7, 8, and grade 4. So there's a few times where I've, had to call home, like, or I've talked to the kids that they've been kind of on their beds, like laying down and things like that. So they get a little too comfortable sometimes. So, and, another challenge would be sometimes you're not sure who the work is coming from. So I had a student where I knew their writing they had some challenges with writing, but then when they handed in the writing, it was really well done. So, and then just opening up that conversation with home. And I think that's a great advantage too, just the connection between home. It's just I feel like it's a lot more fluid than when you're in the class, like just because you have to connect with home all the time, just because you don't have that control over their environment, kind of, you're not right there, so you have to be contacting the parents. And it's great, like I have some parents that just I text each day, like if their kid gets offline, I just text them, and it's it's great. So but yeah, so just kind of, and then I had noticed that, so then I had the conversation with the parent, and they were really responsive to it, and we're like, oh, okay, maybe I should should let them learn and do the work on their own. So yeah.
Do you find you're working much more closely with parents than
A
you would?
lot.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Definitely. Yeah, that's what I mean. It's just, I feel, yeah,
More of a
I think
partnership.
that's, yeah, definitely. I think that's a great advantage to the virtual for sure.
And the parents are really aware of what their children are learning and what is happening
Yeah.
in the classroom, right?
Yes, definitely. And I feel too, like with the younger kids, not so much the older kids, but it's nice having the parent there, because anytime, you have a tech issue or the child's struggling with something, it's like, okay, can you go get, your mom or dad, or is someone home that can help you? And can you go get them to help you? And then it's just like, I'll just be like, oh, hi mom, thanks for helping. And I don't know. I like that part of it. It's great.
Well, and I think, like you said, like it is a partnership.
And
You don't want
now-
to discourage that, but at the same time, like helping parents to understand like where it's help and when maybe it's too much, right? Because you don't want to discourage that. Like the fact that they're engaged and involved in their child's learning is a positive. So to helping them navigate those waters, I think is good. And it sounds like you found that sweet spot for that.
Yeah, for the most part, yeah.
I think with the younger kids, I teach grade 1 and 2, and a lot of times, especially the grade 1s, might have a parent popping in quite often into the room, just because some of my grade 1s really aren't able to sit there by themselves all day. And I mean, I can see that because most of the time they can't sit by themselves in a classroom all day, but I'm also able to work with the parents and say, here is how, if you want to practice this with them, here are some tricks or here are some suggestions for you in terms of helping your child to learn this skill. Even if it's French immersion, doesn't matter. If they're practicing sight words, telling the parents things like make little cards and, leave them around the house and have the child run around and find them and say the words. Some of the things we would have done in class, the parents who are there, you can give them those tips for helping them to get their child to do some work more independently. Especially the parents who have a tendency to do everything for them, you're kind of there to guide them as well.
I think that's an awesome idea, Kathy. Trying to help they want to help, so you might as well be part of that in helping them figure out the best way to support their child. That's a great idea.
That's right. That's right.
Chelsea, you wanted to say something. I know I cut you off earlier.
Yeah, no, it's okay. I would say like a big challenge for me, like I teach core French, and so a challenge is that the cameras are often off. So it seems like you have a lot of students that are there. You can see that they're on the Google Meet, but there's no participation. You call on them, they don't respond in the chat. So that is huge. And then it's difficult because when you have between 250 and 300 kids, you don't get the same like partnership with the parents, because like I just don't have time to call 250 parents a week. But I definitely find like playing games and kind of like coaching students or like having them meet you like one-on-one during async time works better. or like I've told like all of my classes, if you ever need to ask a question, like I have some very shy kids that won't turn their mic on or their camera on in class, but they'll let me know in the chat, and I drop them like a link for another meet, and they can meet me there instead. So then they're more comfortable because it's just like them in the meet. So they'll turn their camera on, them, they'll chat, they'll share their screen, which is something that I never see in the actual class. So
That's great advice. I love that, because there are kids that just aren't comfortable with that big group situation, and in the classroom we would just kind of pull them aside and have that private conversation with them. So that you've definitely found a way to work around that by creating another meet. That's a great idea.
And there's also that piece with the parents are there, and then how are you navigating like classroom discussions around challenging topics, or how are you managing those kind of situations? Or do you run into those kind of situations?
Definitely run into those situations. I think when you start to talk about a challenging topic, I don't think speaking and having the chat open are good ideas. Because sometimes if it's a sensitive topic, you'll have students writing in the chat, and then you'll have students speaking at the same time, and it's just hard to kind of control both to make sure that we're right, because you don't want to get you just want to be mindful of exactly what's happening. So I find like either like if maybe when you're doing that, like, or if something sensitive is said in the chat, I'll close the chat down and I'll address it verbally and we'll talk it out. Things like that. That's mostly with the 7/8s. Don't run into that as much with my grade 4 class, but with the 7/8s, like I'll shut the chat down and we'll talk about it and address it and work it out verbally. Or I just think definitely choosing one way, speaking about it is much better than using the chat feature. Just close that chat feature down and then have the conversation with your voices.
And I would imagine too that there's probably times where it comes up when you're having a conversation that is maybe a little more sensitive in nature, that you might find that families have very different viewpoints on it. Have you ever had any sort of interaction with your parents, like where they've become involved in the Google Meet?
I have not, no.
Yeah, I've had a few incidents where the parent has come and asked me, well, because I teach French, so they don't always understand what the video means or what the context was of what we were saying. So I've had one instance is Alouetta. So the video for Alouetta has a big red bird, and then in the captions below it's talking about plucking the bird's feathers. So in a grade 2 class, she didn't understand the context of the song Alouetta. So during the meet, she came on and asked what the context was, and I had to explain it to her that, and she understood after that. But it's just, a misunderstanding between, what's being taught and what they understand as well. So, but in a lot of my grade 2 classes, the parents are sitting right beside the students in the same, almost in the same chair. So you have to be mindful of what you're teaching, and sometimes they don't always understand the context of what you're trying to get across to the students. So.
That mindfulness is really important, right? How we phrase things, how we talk about things, and then what it is that the material that we're delivering, how the parents understand what it is. That's a really important thing to remember when you're teaching into people's homes.
I was going to say I did have an instance where I have a Jehovah's Witness family in my class, and so one of the questions, it was around the land acknowledgement, and it was just basically, do you feel that we are kind of living up to our, like, taking care of our land? And so I think the use of land And because the land acknowledgement, you usually listen to that around O Canada. So the student replied with, I can't answer this question due to my religion. And so then it was just a matter of, I just emailed the family to make sure that I understood, what their beliefs were, and that I respect and I want to understand fully so that I can respect their beliefs and make sure. And they were very responsive to that, and they just kind of explained everything, and it was great. I think, again, like that partnership, just reaching out and just making sure that you're understanding everything, that they're, I don't know, maybe I'm just lucky I have really good parents.
I think having open communication and parents understanding that you're trying to understand where they're coming from, and
Yeah.
that right, that they know that you're asking questions and reaching out because it's for the benefit of their child, I think they understand those things, right? And that helps with that relationship about how to handle topics that come up, right? That we may have difference of ideas or opinions on.
Definitely.
Keeping that stance of listening to understand, right? It sounds like you guys have all had experiences like that, but how far you can come with just that open listening stance, that you're there to learn and understand each other's side.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know if anyone else ran into it, but just again, December tends to be, a very vocabulary rich time for immersion and for French in general, because we pull out all those winter words and all the Christmas words. And, again, knowing that the makeup of my class included a few Muslim students, we leaned heavily into winter, but there were a few, students in the class were talking about Christmas every day. That was just, I had one little girl who started her Christmas countdown at Halloween, and every day told us how many days till Christmas. So, having the conversation with the Muslim children's parents and saying, this word is going to come up a lot. We are going to talk about it a lot. Please let me know if you think it's too much for your child. And one mom said, no, she was in the Christmas concert last year singing, and I can't remember what the song was at her school. It's okay. She likes Christmas, but, as you say, they are very understanding, especially when we reach out and open those conversations with them.
Well, and also like it's the child bringing it in often, right? Like if one of your students is talking about how excited they are about Christmas, that's coming from that particular child too, right? So that's different than if it's you and you are like all Christmas all the time, right?
Yeah, no, we stayed away from that. But that last week before, it's really hard to stay away from the topic. So the kids kind of take over the room once in a while.
All right. We're going to keep moving. Thank you so much for sharing all of those. That was wonderful. For me, I have a turtle at home, and so a couple of the classes that I've been team teaching in have been doing habitats just before Christmas. So my turtle is often one of the ones that are released and is an invasive species in Ontario. So we're going to have a visit for my turtle and then talk a little bit more about invasive species. So I was excited about the fact that I could have the turtle come into the class without upsetting the turtle by bringing him to a different building. So yeah, I don't know. I think it's fun that we can share the things that we have at home. So Chelsea is going to share a little bit about Pear Deck today, just to let us know how it works and how she's used it a little bit. So I'm going to stop sharing and let.
Thank you. All right. So Pear Deck is really cool. I was just saying how I haven't used all of the features of Pear Deck, but I can speak to inserting Pear Deck into a Google Slides. So this is one I'll run through really quickly. But I just wanted to kind of show how you would start with Pear Deck. So I had, under the Get Add-ons, I've added the Pear Deck add-on to Google Slides. So you can start a new presentation, and then that will allow you to open the Pear Deck add-on. So when you're working with, maybe Pear Deck will come up. When you're working with Google Slides, you can add in your different questions. We'll see if that will start. But so I had this slide deck that we were working with, and it's really neat because this is the add-on. So you can add your different questions to your slides. So I started this presentation. I set it up, and then you'll see at the bottom when you insert. So this is a multiple choice question. So you insert this into your slide, and then I'll show you. Like I'm jumping all over the place. So I'll show you. I'm running a session just right here, and I just have my session on my other computer here. So you can share this link.
Like as if you were a student, Chelsea, is that what you mean?
As if I was a student on my other computer.
Okay.
So when you hit start lesson, this is what will pop up on your screen. So you can send your students to joinpd.com, and then they put this code in, and then they will have to log in with their Google account. Or you can actually just give the students this link. So oftentimes, instead of doing that, because it takes forever for them to type in like joinpd.com and then type in the code. So if you just click on this, you can actually paste that link right into the chat on Google Meet, and they can click on that, and then sometimes they have to verify their Google account, and it will add them right in. So then you'll be able to see here, somebody joined me. So what it is, once you hit start class, so this is what the students are seeing on their screen. And then this is teacher paced, and you can also give them a student paced version. So for your students that like move through things super quickly, you can give them that. And then if you wanted to work with a small group of students, you could have them, like you could set it up kind of two different ways so that you have some kids that are working independently and you're working with a smaller group.
So Chelsea, sorry, just to interrupt. When you're talking about teacher paced, you are controlling when the slides
I'm
advance,
controlling
right?
when the slides move.
Okay.
Whereas in student paced, they get to control. So for example, I'm going to move to the next slide now. Now I'm not seeing on the student version of this on the side, on the right-hand side, they're seeing three multiple choice options, and they get to click. So I'm just seeing my slide. So if I click ça va bien, you'll see down here, there's 2 of 2 responses. And then I can also, if I show responses, I can see, so like if I can gauge like if my class is mostly ça va mal, and we could maybe like stop, it's not time to do this. Or we can chat, like you can see it, and you can also see it like this. In the premium version, this would actually have the students' names above it, which is really cool. I was just trying to see if Melissa hasn't gotten back to me, but you can sign up for like a 30-day free trial of the premium, and it's really neat. So I'm going to hide these. So I'm just going to show a few of the different features. So on the student screen, I wish that I could. I'm just going to see if I can actually join this. So that I can also see. Okay, so this is what this is a student version. So on my slide, I have our, like, today is, yesterday was, tomorrow will be. So on the student, what the students can do is they can pick their color, and then they were supposed to draw a line. So today is jeudi, hier était mercredi, demain sera vendredi. And then they're done. Like, so they don't have to submit or anything. When I go back to my presentation session, I can see, if I do grid layout, that people have answered, that they're answering my questions. So that's the drawing feature, which is really neat. And then this one is a text response. So I was wanting my students to write the date. So you can see here that there's a text box. So they would use this example that I provided, and they'd write, say, jeudi, le 7. Well, this is still back from November, but so they'd write the date. And then when I show my responses, you can see that they're responding. Another one, so you can actually still link your videos and everything to, like, just like you would in slides. So this one was also a multiple choice, so that we were working with families. I'm just going to show, you've seen the multiple choice and the talking. Okay, so this one here is a drag and drop one. So here it says, qui a les cheveux blonds et les yeux verts? So who has blonde hair and green eyes? So they take this star here and they drag it and put it on the person that had blonde hair and blue or green eyes. So this is great for labeling. You can also have different icons that you set up in your Pear deck presentation, so if I wanted to edit, which a draggable is one of the premium features, but you would choose that, which is nice. Like the drag and drop, there's really not an easy way to do drag and drop on Google Slides, because then everything moves unless you save it as a background. And then this was another drag and drop question. So that's kind of like the lowdown. I did start here. So there you go. So if I wanted to insert a text, this is how it would pop up. So this, it will say this is a Pear Deck text slide. So then you would just add what you want your students to type. So write the date. And then they would have beside on this, it would be a text box for them to write. The multiple choice. So that it gives you the choices, and then you would ask the question on your slide.
The Google Slide integration is fantastic, that you can just build right here.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it just makes it so interactive.
Yeah, it's really nice. Yeah. And then on Pear Deck, so it shows that I have an open session. So I could open the dashboard, but for some reason I feel, yeah, the dashboard is a Pear Deck premium. But like I said, like if you're interested in trying it out, you get 30 days free. And then they extended it by 15 days. So it's cool to try it out. You just hit, and then when you're all done, you just hit end session, you can save it. And then when you go, so this will bring you back to your Pear Deck account. That ends the session for all of your students. So they can no longer access that session. So you can go into your session and you can see all of the different sessions. And you can, when you're in premium, you can still see their answers. And there are a ton of different like resources and everything already built in here that you can check out. And then I just wanted to show one more quick thing. Pretty sure.
So are there pre-builts that are free and pre-builts that are premium, or is like do you know?
I'm not 100% sure. I haven't played around much with, because I didn't honestly find that there were many French ones out there. But I basically, like, when I'm teaching, I'm basically using the same slide over and over. So I found it was really easy to just throw my Pear Deck. And some days we would use Pear Deck and some days we wouldn't. So like that, because then some days we would talk about it instead. I wish Pear Deck would come up with a oral feature that the students could record themselves talking, and I could then go listen. And there's also one it's a premium feature as well, but you can pop up. So if it's something that's not already built into your slide, like you have your slide and then you want to see like, hey, I want to ask them an exit question or something like that, there's prompts that are already ready that you can just shoot out to them, which was really neat. And then
you have to have a session open though, right?
Yes,
okay.
For this prompt. And then we just before we started, we were talking a little bit about this Pear Deck vocabulary. I haven't played around with it too much. We are going to be starting a new topic soon. So I was kind of hoping to try this Pear Deck vocabulary. It's like a game, but I can keep you posted, can let Ange know, and she can share with you guys.
That would be great.
Yeah.
So Chelsea, I just want to make sure I understood something correctly. At the beginning, you had said you can choose teacher pays or student pays. Mm-hmm. So if you did select the student pays, is that something then that could be assigned as an on-demand activity?
Yes, it can be.
Yeah. So
yeah.
That's definitely
so I did that with a lot of my students. Or so on demand, or I have some async students, so I would assign that, and then they can do that on their own, or
Awesome. Just because you have some kids that are choosing that, right now.
Yeah, for sure.
That's a great option for them.
Yeah. Okay, I'll stop this.
Thank you, Chelsea.
No problem.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
That was fantastic. I'm excited. Okay, so we had Pear Deck. So Whiteboard FI was another one that we wanted to talk about, and some of the teachers at the virtual school are using it. I know that there's some glitchiness to it sometimes, but sorry, totally lost my whole train of thought. This was shared in our session on Tuesday.
One of the classroom sessions on Tuesday.
Yes, one of the grade 4 session on Tuesday. Thanks.
Yeah, that's okay.
Lindsay Arquette was demoing it for us. So what I've done is I've actually taken the video from that, because she did such a lovely job demoing it, and showed us how you can use several of the features. And because she uses it daily and I have not yet played around with it a whole lot, I thought this might be a nice way for our teachers to see how it works. So we'll just play this.
Perfect. Okay, so if you open a whiteboard, this is Whiteboard FI. So I'm going to create a new class, and I just name it whatever. And I do this while I'm talking to the kids. So I'll be like, okay, I'm going to open a whiteboard, and you can do enable a waiting room. Depends on your kids. Sometimes I have students who keep clicking on the link, so then they're in there 7 times. So I did enable waiting room at the beginning, so then you accept the students so that they actually have to wait a minute and let everyone come in. But now I'm at the point where I feel like I don't need to. And all I do is I copy and paste. I'm going to give it to you guys so then you can join it if I know how to get in my chat again. Where's my chat?
I think if you
there we go.
scroll over the bottom, yeah, they'll be at the bottom.
Okay, so if you guys just go on that link, everyone. And then as you guys click on it, it will ask you for your name. And see, as you guys appear, see, I can see you guys now. And you guys can draw on your boards. And while you draw, I can see what you're doing.
Slick.
It's fantastic. It's like where I get most of my assessment because I can actually see them live versus like not knowing if someone was helping them at home. So then what I do is I go to toggle my whiteboard, which is my teacher whiteboard. And can you guys see my whole computer?
Yes.
Okay, so if I went to what we were doing today, actually like copy this and go to back to my whiteboard, and then I just do Control V and it like posts it there, and I can push it to all you guys as a background. My connection's not very strong,
So this is to do with the math question, like how the students are showing you their math work. Was that the the question that came
I mean,
up?
this is just a random thing I just posted because it was, yeah, so it was just, this is just something that was open on my desktop. But like my students could actually plot those points now. And I could watch them. So then I can say like, oh, Christine, nope, that's not right. Make sure you have your X and Y axis in the right spots. Because I can actually watch you guys do it. And then you just have to make sure that they don't use the erase button because Trevor wrote all over that page now. So I'll be like, Trevor, come on.
So
just press the undo button. Make sure you don't press the eraser button because it's going to erase. Or I can actually fix it for him because I can do actions and I can push the whiteboard again and it will clear what he wrote and it will give him the page again once the internet catches up. And you can also like push a student's board to your teacher boards, then you can talk about it because kids can't see each other's as you guys can't see yours. You can also get rid of a student. And then the coolest thing is you can go to the top and you can go to this little settings button and you can save the whiteboards as a PDF. So I've been doing this a lot because, and then I print them and I put them in my mark book. Because if I've seen like really good learning, I've also done number talks this way if I want them to actually write to get those students who don't always share. I can clear them so if they're all drawing, because usually I let them draw while I get everyone in. And
this is good.
May I just say something? So with Jamboard, there are limits to it, which is why when Lindsay shared this with our group, I was so excited. So Jamboard, you're only allowed 20 pages. So if you have more than 20 students, you'd have to create more than one Jamboard for the students to have a page each. And then the other thing with Jamboard is they can go on each other's pages and erase their work or draw on their work. And unless you've created really amazing class norms where students won't do that, then you don't have to worry. But that's what I was starting to find. Even accidentally, they'll go on someone else's work and do it. Whereas this, they don't even see each other's work unless you're sharing your screen. Is that right, Lindsay? Like it's all them just.
And I will share
sometimes. Nobody can.
We use this a lot for like doodle breaks, things that I don't want there to be an actual assignment about in Google.
Steph, you're muted. I was trying to unclick to talk to you and I still couldn't.
And I'm like, well, and when you're sharing, it's in a different spot than when you're just in the Zoom. So then I can't find it and I panic. And but that gives you a really nice overview of how the tool works. And I did like that you can watch the students working as they're working. Like you can watch what's happening on their screens and then they can't see each other's, right? Which is quite nice. And that their names are on them too, so you know who is working where.
Chelsea, question. because I had checked out Whiteboard FI now. I've done it. I just did it again. So when I had tried to sign up for a teacher account, it looked like I had to pay for it. But now I'm noticing that you can just so you can just go to your class. It would just be, it doesn't save. Is that right? If it's the free version?
Yeah,
No?
I think the paid version, I think, will keep all of your whiteboards, but the PDF, I believe, is free, like saving it as a PDF, all of yours.
Okay. So
Mhm.
you don't even have to sign up, which is kind of cool. Okay.
No, you just like start a class right there and it creates a
Yeah.
code and away you go.
Cool. Yeah,
Mhm.
because I had checked it out. I teach Lindsay's class French, so we had talked about that before. And then I went to check it out and I was like, I don't really know if I want to pay for this.
Mhm.
But no, that's good to know that it's free. So cool.
Mhm. Yeah,
Thanks.
awesome.
I
And
learned
then,
something too.
yay, that's even better.
Well, I just love that it's not necessarily a replacement for Jamboard, because there's still a place for Jamboard because it's a little bit more collaborative in nature, right? So I think it really does come down to what the intent of the learning is. And is it, do you really want that individual work or more of a collaboration?
And that's definitely come out of some of the virtual teachers that I've talked to, that they're like, I'm not sure what they're doing, right? Because you don't see them the same way, especially if, say, they don't turn their cameras on, right? So that way you can see what's happening while you're working through the lesson or the task or whatever it is that you're doing. And she does mention that it doesn't clog up your Google Classroom because it's not an assignment, right? So Janessa Letham is a kindergarten teacher at the virtual school, and she made this cute little video last night about how to add translated captions to Google Meets. This is an end user, like you have to, the end user has to add captions to their own Google Meet. But if you were teaching and sharing your screen, it will run the captions, obviously, that you're sharing on your screen. So I just thought I would share this as well, so that you can see how to turn on captions and then how to translate the captions for your students who may have a home language other than English, and also for their parents who are probably helping them with their learning. Oops.
Because even stuff I was going to say, even if the students aren't, if they're really young learners, they may not be able to keep up with the speed of those captions. But if a parent is sitting there and English is not their first language, that might be one way that they can still support their child.
Mm-hmm. And obviously we're talking about artificial intelligence or captioning, right? So it's not always perfect, but it would definitely help if families are looking for a little bit of extra assistance in terms of understanding what is happening in the classroom.
Hello, Miss Letham here, and I got a great tip from my friend Teresa Lopatron to help out our English language learners. All you have to do is right-click, go to Translate to English. Up here now we have a new icon called GT, Google Translate. Click the 3 dots, choose another language, and drop-down menu, Translate. And now you'll notice, look, German. That's not even the magical part. Now, when I click the captions, make sure you're unmuted. I am speaking English and it's coming out in German. This is something you would teach the student how to use. To go back to English, all you have to do is go back up to this GT, 3 dots, choose another language, English, bada boom, bada bing, we're back to English.
She's so dynamic. It's so fun. So yeah, again, you'd have to teach the families and the students how to do that, so that they could do it from their end. But you could definitely run those if you had students who have a home language other than English. You could run those for yourself while you're teaching.
And stuff, just make sure if the teacher happens to be screen sharing, that will automatically happen. The student will automatically see that, right?
Yes, because if they have the captions turned on and they are screen sharing, then it will show the captions as over top of whatever it is that they're sharing on their screen. But each individual has to turn their captions on.
Good to know. Okay. I can't click on those. These were just a couple of websites. We're not going to really get into them deeply. Just we're looking in an interest of the time. But there was a request for some drama resources, and these were two that were mentioned to us from teachers at the virtual school. The one is called Fort Theater Company, and well, both of these. The other is called Drama Resource, and both of them give specific examples and games and activities you can do for virtual teaching. So. No big groups are required, none of that. So there's a lot of good resources there and ideas to get you started if you want to check those out. So the one was forttheatercompany.org and the other is dramaresource.com. So if you have
one
a
of
chance,
these, oh, sorry,
yeah,
one of these is specific to remote learning, right?
They both have a section specific to remote learning. I mean, they have other stuff as well, but they both have sections specific to online learning. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay.
I just want to bring those to everyone's attention because there was a request for that the other day.
Awesome. Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing. Just in the interest of time, we're getting very close to that 4 o'clock, but we'd like to thank everybody who came out today. Thank you so much, Nastasha and Josh, and Kathy was here for a little bit, and Chelsea for sharing Pear Deck. That was fabulous sharing today, and it's I learn something every time we have one of these sessions. Like it's just and just hearing people talk about how, like, the discussion about connecting with families and bringing in that parent piece and having that relationship with parents was also probably really helpful for our teachers who are remote teaching right now.
And Steph, as we were sitting here, I'm seeing texts coming in that we're going to be doing this a little bit longer, it sounds like.
Well, all right then. So we have some resources that might be helpful for the next couple weeks.
That's right. And lots of experts to keep us going.
Yes, and we really appreciate the experts from the virtual school because they've learned so much in the last 4 months of remote learning and can share so much with us. So they're a wonderful resource.
So thank you guys.
Thank you so much for helping us out.
Have a good one.
Stuff. Have a good night.
Thanks.
See you later. Thank you.
See y'all later.
Bye.
It's probably my number one.